Okay, today's team is Buffalo Sabres, one team that has underperformed quite a bit during the last few seasons, and they haven't been in playoffs in recent years. How about Tommy? Do you think this team that still has quite good players, they have Jack Eichel and the company, would be performing better than expected this season?
Well, I think everyone is expecting a lot more from this team. Now they got Taylor Hall as well for at least 1 year, or maybe until the trade deadline. We'll see how they do. In the simulations, Buffalo was really close to New Jersey at the bottom of the Eastern Division. So its only separation was like less than 1 point. So they could actually take the last spot there as well. It's a tough division, of course. The established teams there are really good, if not as good as before. And also the challenging teams, the New York teams, and of course New Jersey Devils as well, are getting a little bit better with the similar sort of background as the Sabres. Sabres been 9 seasons out of playoffs. They have some great players. Like we spoke before, there is not really any good reason why they haven't been performing, but they've been pretty bad all over. But now Eichel has Hall. They brought in Eric Stahl with a little bit of leadership. So maybe we can expect something better from them. How have we been doing with the Sabres in the past seasons?
Sabres have had quite a bit expected value in their games, like expected, because team has underperformed, and our simulations have predicted them to be a bit better. Total bets have been profitable during the last 3 seasons, so if you would bet total based on simulations, you would end up a bit over 1,500 profit. Another interesting category here is that those road trips for Buffalo, when they are playing third or more road game, or when they are playing back-to-back away game, if there has been some expected value for these games, that has been quite good for bettors, because both cases you would end up almost 500 with back-to-back games, and over 700 profit in over third road trip games. And maybe one reason for this is that the odds have been quite high for these games, and they have been able to win one game here, another there, and that way give some profits for bettors who have followed the expected value based on our simulations. What kind of teams Buffalo will face this season? Are they similar type of teams in Eastern Division, or is there different kind of teams that they are facing many times?
Yeah, in the East now it's kind of divided into, there are the big Eastern teams, the ones that are contending year after year, and then there are the teams in similar position as the Sabres are pretty much in a rebuild, or maybe even finishing the rebuild phase at the moment. So it's interesting to see which of these teams will take that sort of challenger position in there, and who will be the one to make through the playoffs. Sabres have gotten a bit better, like we established, underperformed quite a bit. So Ralph Kruger will have a lot of work to get everyone on the same page, but they have the potential to upset especially the bigger teams. I think there was some a little bit stronger teams that they've been doing well against, wasn't there?
Yeah, during the last 3 seasons they played 4 times against Washington at home. They won 3 of those, so maybe there is a chance that they could upset some stronger teams like Washington or Pittsburgh, maybe even Boston in this case. But generally, there's no any team or any matchup that they have been playing very well, as they have been, like I said, quite underperforming, and a few years ago one of the rock bottom teams of the NHL. You mentioned that there are a few new players like Taylor Hall and Eric Stahl. Those high-paid guys, together with 10 million guy Jack Eichel and 9 million Jeff Skinner, are quite expensive for any team. But is pouring money to these pockets the solution for Sabres?
Yeah, obviously it hasn't been so far. So, for example, Jeff Skinner needs to do a lot better. He hasn't been playing to his paycheck, not even close. But being 9 years at the bottom of the league helps you in some ways. So you get the guys like Rasmus Dahlin in the defense. You get now there is Dylan Cousins, who's playing in the World Juniors, now played 5 games and scored 12 points. So these sort of guys are the ones who they look for stepping up then when Jeff Skinners fail. There are interesting players in the bottom 6 as well. You can put Kyle Okposo and the like in there, and there is always a challenge for the top 6 spot. So if Skinner is not improving, they can replace him with a more promising player pretty soon. One thing to point out from the Buffalo roster is the goaltenders, which are pretty questionable. There is veteran Carter Hutton, and then the Swedish guy Linus Ullmark, and neither is very consistent, so they might be in for some moves if the season starts to go bad, or if it doesn't, then somebody might be interested in those goalies as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the Buffalo team has performed against the season total line, because we have predicted a year ago that they would be 4th last in Western Conference, and when the season was cut off, they were 4th last, and also the points total was predicted under, and most probably it would end up under, as they were having only 68 points during the last regular season. 2 years ago, we had a bit higher hopes for them, and we predicted that they would go over, but like I said, they were not able to match the simulation expectations, but they were under this Vegas line, 79.5 points. And 3 years ago, we predicted them to be under, and we predicted them to be under with 9 points, but they were under. I think at the end, the line was 88 points, and they end up the bottom of the whole league with 62 points. So 26 points below the line. Do you think it would be similar kind of 20 plus points below the line this season, even though lines are not available?
I certainly hope not, because the team is quite promising, and I would like to see them do a lot better. But it's tough to say how they're gonna play now. They have Eric Stahl, and they have like a much more balanced team at the moment. So I would say they might be a little bit more competitive this time around than we have expected. But simulations are usually more correct than I am. So let's trust the simulations here.
Have you checked any Stanley Cup odds for Buffalo? Is there something interesting for us to bet, or something that they will reach playoffs with reasonable probability with good odds?
Yeah, the odds are actually really low, considering they are one of the last teams by the odds makers. So the odds are hovering around 4,000. Which is definitely not enough for their Stanley Cup. So I'm gonna stay away from that one.
Okay, so we save our money for something else and continue our preview with the next West team.
That will do.